Hey out there, all you Earth dwellers. You're tuned in to Earth School Radio, broadcasting straight to your soul. I'm your host, Sheila, and here on Earth School Radio, we explore life's biggest questions. Questions like, why am I here? What's my purpose? And how do I finally begin to heal? Together, we explore it all: soul contracts, intuition, and yes, even things like time travel, vibration, and what is the Galactic Federation? Because I believe healing and waking up go hand in hand. And if you're ready to tune into your highest potential and live more fully, you're in the right place. So grab a snack, lock in, and let's get into it. Welcome back to Earth School Radio. I'm your host, Sheila, and here we are, back in the RV. And today I'm doing something different. We are deciding to do some video, and I think I'm going to do a YouTube channel to go along with the podcast. So if you want to check it out there, that'd be cool. Earth School Radio. And today I just wanted to do something a little bit more conversational and reflective. I don't have, one perfectly packaged topic that I want to deep dive into. I just kind of wanted to have a conversation about some of the things that I've been feeling into lately. It is New Year's Eve, and we're just a short time away from the ball drop. And so I thought I would bring in the new year with my podcast. It really does mean something to me. It really is a moment for me. And, as we're coming into this new year, I do feel like we're crossing a threshold. We're moving out of 2025 and into 2026. And for myself, 2025 felt like a culmination year. And well, it was, 2025, 2 and 5 are 9, and that's, endings. And 2026, if you add it up, is a 1 year, which means new beginnings. And so, we're coming out of this heavy, heavy stuff. For me, the last 5 years really was this time of chaos and upheaval and sifting and digging and going through shadow work and childhood stuff. And I had a lot of aha moments where things just clicked and I started to move differently and I started to feel changed. I do feel changed, but all this stuff in the past was a real lot of work. I recognized patterns in myself. I recognized things about the world that I never did before. There was a lot of figuring out where all the anxiety that I had came from. Learning to listen to my inner voice. And I'd say in the last 2 months, though, I really have felt so much release. Like the things that kind of bogged me down before, I don't feel anymore. I feel more in tune with my body and more comfortable with who I am, just being me, with liking what I like and prioritizing what I feel, knowing that I really do have this understanding of the higher consciousness shift that's happening as we speak. I have this inner knowing that somehow it is part of my life purpose to help plant seeds for the new earth age that's taking shape. I swear over the last 5 years, I feel like I've come alive and then died and been rebirthed as this whole new being. If you knew me 10 years ago, you'd be like, who are you? I am so different. I've come through so much, and 2026 feels like a turning point. And that's what I wanted to talk about. I just wanted to talk about what's coming. I feel like it is going to be a big change, that there's going to be a lot of good stuff on the horizon. Life is still life, it's still doing its thing. But there's also this integration aspect, a shift from constant learning into applying and living what we've learned. Coming out of this time where we've had to pretty much unlearn everything that we knew and then put it all back together. But the good part is that we put it back where we want it, and we prioritize it how we want it. And now we're in this beautiful embodiment of all of the hard-fought lessons and realizations. We're setting boundaries. I'm making choices that light me up. I'm moving into an RV and going to Florida for the winter. Earth School Radio. This was my freaking dream. I'm no longer identifying as the wounded child. I'm not carrying around that badge of victimhood anymore. I'm not saying that I'm entirely healed, but I'm feeling a definite shift into embodiment, where, your awareness is just so expanded. You see things from many different perspectives that maybe you would never have thought before. So much more multidimensional than it was before. This new year feels like an invitation to embrace more of who we are unapologetically, our multidimensional selves, our new earth selves. I don't know, just this feeling of confidently stepping forward into a new paradigm, letting it all just kind of fall into place and flow, and trusting our inner guidance. That's big. Yeah, a lot of stuff. And I know many of you have had similar journeys. I don't know if, it's been the same as mine in the last 5 years. Maybe it's just, you're just starting it. Maybe you've been going down this road for 15 years. But I do think that this is being felt in the collective, in all of us in some way. I feel like right now, it's like with all these solar flares, with everything that's happening, the earth is just moving and grooving and changing. I feel like it's almost like having your operating system updated. I remember back in the day when I would have to defragment the hard drive on our old desktop computer, when it would be running slow and locking up and none of the programs would run right. You'd have to clear the cache and defragment the hard drive. It's like, and then you'd see like all these little files coming out and moving. And that's what it was doing. It was taking things that got corrupted and putting them back where they were supposed to go. Oh my gosh, excuse me. That's what I feel like I've been doing the last 5 years. Defragmenting. Clearing my cache. But now we're coming into this new time. This more balanced. I think if I had to give a word to describe what 2026 energy is all about, it would be balance. Yeah. Everything. Balancing out. Since we're in Florida for the winter, of course, we went to the beach the other day, and I was sitting on the beach. I was in my lawn chair. I had my feet up, and I'm looking on Instagram. I'm scrolling, and this post came across, and I read it. It said, light worker, and right there I was like, oh, that's me, talking to me. And it said, light worker, you didn't come here to fight the darkness. You came here to balance it. And you know how when you read something that just hits you and you're like, oh, I love that. Well, I sat there and I was like, I love that. And I kind of just read it again. Light worker, you didn't come here to fight the darkness. You came here to balance it. And I kind of just asked myself, I just kind of felt into it. Self, what are your thoughts? I kind of wrapped my brain around it. And I got this image. I remember I was thinking about it. I was like, really not fighting it. It's about balance. And boom, boom, right there. It was this yin-yang symbol. And I know that's probably not the correct way to pronounce it. I'm sure it's something a lot more refined than yin-yang. I think it's yin-yang, maybe. But I'm just going to go with good old yin-yang. That's what I've been saying for the last 50 years, and that's what I'm going to say. So I did. I saw this image, and here I am at the beach. I'm just scrolling on my phone when I saw that post. And I don't know if it was the sound of the waves or what, but the image of the yin-yang in my mind just started doing this. It started rotating like this, and I could see the waves of the white and the waves of the black, and they just kept moving back and forth, and they were just, you know, this fluidity, that movement of each of the energies, the dark and the light. And I was thinking, like, that movement that, you know, helps to keep the balance. And that's that day that I was on the beach, I was just going on deep dives. You hear people say that I got downloads. And that is actually why I wanted to do this whole episode, because of that day. My ChatGPT sage and I really got into some good stuff that day. And don't come for me about the AI stuff. It's fun, and I use it, and it's, you know, it helps me kind of just move through some stuff. Just if I need to know information or whatever, it's not a big deal. And thinking about the yin-yang anyway, it's just very strange to me. It's always been something that I've identified with super hard. Like, as a teenager, I loved it. I remember in art class, I drew this huge yin-yang. I framed it. I put it on my wall. I drew it on everything. I thought maybe someday I'd get a tattoo. I never did, but I dated a biracial boy, and back in the 80s, that shit was seriously frowned on. I got called all kinds of slurs. Isn't that crazy? But yeah, anyway, it to me, it became my symbol of love, you know? And hey, I actually married a black man, so we just celebrated 30 years together. So that thread has run through my whole life. You know, I've always resonated with that. It's so funny how sometimes things that we're drawn to as kids end up being really significant or meaningful when you look back and you're like, oh my gosh, it makes total sense that that's something that I would have been drawn to. And it does. It's just so strange. It's not the only thing, but yeah, the symbology of the yin-yang for me kind of epitomizes how all the stuff, all of our life experiences kind of, you know, balance each other out. Some are awful and debilitating and full of pain and sadness. But then we also have joy and ecstasy, and not the drug, and we have love. And I guess I'm just reflecting on how, I don't know, after years of shadow work, I'm finding myself feeling more balanced, like the yin-yang. And I'm continuing to release those old patterns and ways of thinking, and I'm catching myself. And, you know, I can tell I'm moving differently in the world. I feel differently. And it's just amazing how we can integrate all this, you know, the light and the dark to bring about like a feeling of harmony or coherence. And that's, you know, as we move into this 1 year, this year of new beginnings, I want to get this message across to everybody who might still be doing the work, the beginning work, like you're just like having, you know, epiphanies and you're struggling through this part of your story. Just get this part. It's not about fighting the darkness. It's about finding peace with all of the parts of ourselves. There's no shame allowed. No shame allowed. There's no, you know, and we have to find forgiveness, and we have to find love, self-love. Balance means ending the inner war. You don't need to go to war to fight all the anger and the pain. That doesn't make it better. You know? Yeah. Especially as we enter into this time of great awakening on earth. It's more of a, you know, when things come up or, you know, hard things happen, you're in this mode of change the field energy. You flow like the waves, recognizing that both the light and the dark shaped you, pushed you, refined you, made you who you are. And instead of feeling ashamed of those things, and excuse me, and feeling like you have to hide them or it's too much to sit with them, you don't deny them. You realize that you've walked through the darkness. Let me take a drink. Oh my gosh, I'm dying. No, I'm not. But you don't deny them. You realize that you've walked through the darkness and you give yourself, space to work through your shit. And then you come back into yourself, integrated. That is yin-yang embodied energy. I don't feel like we came here to defeat the darkness. I think that we came here to bring ourselves into balance enough so that the darkness no longer needs to scream at us to be seen. We're finally giving ourselves the understanding and the love and the compassion and the attention that we've always needed in one way or another. And it got me thinking about how this time on earth is such a beautiful time of change. I'm seeing this whole ascension process and all of the parts of how we're leveling up, and I'm just amazed at us. And I'm so excited about the future. Humanity is changing, and it's beautiful the way I see things playing out. I see things changing for the better all the time. I see signs of new earth every day, new healing modalities, new ways of, healing. And I don't know, it's all part of the ascension. I think it freaks people out, that term, ascension. We're going through humanity ascending as Earth is also ascending. Now that's a very normal thing to say in 2026. Not so much before 2020, if you weren't in the spiritual community, I guess. If you were, then yes, you knew what it was, but I wasn't. It's very normal for me to say, we're ascending. But it's what we're doing. We're coming out of a time of dense, third-dimensional reality, a frequency that encourages certain ways of thinking that keep us stuck in the same patterns and struggles, to now being on the precipice of this rising up, not literally our bodies rising up into the heavens, like maybe we thought, maybe we were raised to believe, but a rising up into the higher dimensional beings that we are, with a heightened awareness of self and our connection to each other and the universe or God or source, whatever you resonate with. And it's all bringing us to this time of fifth dimensional frequency, this elevated, ascended frequency of love and peace and unity consciousness, where I am you and you are me. We are all connected. Ascension is not about getting rid of your shadows. It's about inviting them to the cookout and listening to their stories and saying, hey, you play whatever music you want. Let's sit down, let's have some barbecue, let's talk. Making them feel these shadows, making them feel seen, making them feel heard. And then when every part of you is welcome and open and honest, nothing can control you anymore. When you're no longer hiding anything, when you're no longer hiding from anything, you are ascending through that dense, hard part into a time where you see that those things happened for a reason, to teach you, to guide you. You've come to a place where you've earned your stripes and you're moving forward into a new way of being. In an ascended fifth dimensional reality, we're guided in a different way than we have been in the past. We're more in touch with our intuition in this new time, in this new year and beyond. So, thinking about intuition, I want to lean into another thing I've been kind of noticing and just kind of thinking about, and that is that we are becoming feelers, not seers. As in, that's how humans show up in a new earth paradigm. We're tapping into something inside of us to guide us. And it's real. You know, we're feeling it. It's new. I mean, let's be real. In our culture, we've always been taught that you have to prove things for them to be true. I'll believe it when I see it, or see it when I believe it, whatever. I don't know. We have been convinced that if it's not right in front of us, if we can't see it or prove it, or if it's not tangible, that it didn't exist, or it wasn't real, or that it was false. And now we're moving into this expanded awareness where we are cognizant of our own inner knowing more. We're seeing synchronicities more. We're noticing changes in how we think about things. For so long, we treated knowing like it had to come through, our eyes. Cold, hard facts. The five senses. Like, unless you could touch it or, prove it somehow or show it on a chart, it wasn't real, right? But what's happening now is this collective shift into a kind of knowing that's not about evidence. It's about resonance. We're tuning into a different kind of signal. One that doesn't always show up in words or external signs, but shows up as truth felt in the body. That subtle ache in the heart. That moment when somebody says something and your whole system goes, yes, that's right, that's real, that's truth. Or when you walk into a room and you instantly feel the tension or the chaos and you're like, get me the hell out of here. Like I'm in Home Depot and I'm like, oh my God, I gotta get out of here. I'm taking it in from so many sources. It's so strange now. I feel like we're all just this feeling of having a sixth sense more than ever. We're not just looking for truth anymore. We're now feeling for it. And that changes everything. Because when you trust what you feel, not just emotions, not just, oh, I'm sad, or oh, I miss you, or I love you. Not when you trust what you feel emotionally. You trust what you're feeling energetically. When you can do that, you don't need as many external signs or confirmations or validations. You are the instrument. You are the tuning fork. And yeah, you might still get the 11:11 on the clock and have super realistic dreams where you feel like it was a message. You might notice the hawk keeps showing up for you and you're like, oh, hey, hawk. That's me. But they're like little reminders from spirit that you're not alone, but they're not the foundation anymore. They're not like the thing you cling on to because you've got this inner compass. The real foundation is you being confident in knowing what feels right or true or restrictive or unhealthy. And when you sit and think about how it was for us growing up in our culture, even now, on how we learn as kids to problem solve, if we had something that was happening and we were upset, or we had a fight with somebody and, we didn't know how to move forward, we'd never had an adult sit down and say, well, Sheila, how's this make you feel right now? What are you feeling in your body? It was more like, listen to what your parents tell you should feel, or your church, or teachers, or whoever. Very rarely were we taught that our bodies will communicate to us. It is very intelligent. It will tell you exactly what it needs. But now, many of us, so many people are being called back into the body, into sensation, emotion, intuition. So many people feel more sensitive, more in tune right now, in this moment. Allowing themselves to express emotionally, men embracing the divine feminine and finally, letting go of some of the ways of thinking. They have to be a certain way or act a certain way. Or people are noticing what they feel energetically, physically. Our sensitivity is heightening. And let me say this, sensitivity isn't weakness. It is evolutionary. I call it my spidey senses. And confusion shows up mostly for people when they ignore their body, when they ignore the signs, when they ignore their gut, because we were never taught how to interpret inner signals from our body. But the body is always communicating to us. That gut feeling is a guidepost. Learning to trust it is part of this new phase of awareness. I'm just thinking, how would things change for us if we just stopped asking ourselves, how do I know what to believe? How do I know if that's true? I don't know if that's true. It might be true. I don't know. Nothing you can believe anymore. And start asking, does that sound right? What am I feeling? What's my gut telling me about this? Should I take that job? It's just this inner knowing. I don't know. This is another example is like if you hear something about, I don't know, like say you're in YouTube or something and there's a video about humanity's origin story, our history, the story of, where humans came from and who we are for real, right? And you heard something that differs from what you were taught, something new, maybe even something that sounds really out there. And instead of pushing it away, instead of instantly, tuning it out and saying that's a bunch of horse crap, you allow yourself to just kind of take it in. You just go, let me hear what they have to say. Let me just see what they say. I'm curious. I love the curiosity of the new age. So you take it in, you digest it, and instead of just like running and searching for proof to disprove it in order to make yourself feel better that you aren't wrong, you just tune into it and you get a feeling and you're like, that sounds right. That sounds plausible. I mean, that kind of makes sense to me. I kind of feel like that's right. It feels like that's right. And then you decide for yourself whether it's worth pursuing more information on. This new paradigm, this new earth it's about knowing thyself and trusting your own inner voice, your intuition. This becoming a feeler means that we stop thinking and talking about energy all the time and we start noticing it. We start noticing it out in, the world. We notice how it moves through our body, how it makes us feel physically. We notice it. And that's where this kind of comes full circle for me because, speaking of like the tuning into everything, it's like I think about tuning forks. And in my Reiki practice, one of the things that I love to work with and one of the things that my clients will tell me is their favorite thing is when I work with tuning forks. They are very simple tools. They're two metal prongs that when struck, they vibrate at a specific frequency. And I was trying to find something. I have my little tuning fork here. This is a little bitty one, but it resonates at a really high frequency. And when you strike it, you can hear that. So when you hold two tuning forks together and you strike one and you hold them very close together, the other one starts to vibrate too without even being touched. That's called resonance. And I think that is freaking fascinating. And even further fascinating is the fact that our bodies are actually kind of act like tuning forks. They do the same thing. We're out and always tuning. We're always tuning. We're always, in training to people, to environments, to energy fields, to solar flares, even emotions. But it's also like when you go into a yoga class or a group meditation and you walk in and you smell the incense and you hear the soothing sounds and you just feel the energy all around you and it's just calming you down. Any stress that you had is just kind of reintegrating. Remember that yin-yang, it's all floating. Your body is calibrating to that energy. And one thing that I think is really important to understand is that simply being aware of our feelings, being dialed in to how we're feeling, leads to greater coherence in our body. I mean, that's the goal, coherence, to move through the frequencies that dysregulate our nervous systems and into a more harmonic state. I don't mean like you're blissed out all the time in this state of perfection. It's not about, toxic positivity or good vibes only, man. Coherence is when the systems of the body, your heart, your brain, your breath, your nervous system, all start working in tandem together. They're starting to, take up the slack for the other systems that might be struggling. And they start to bring things into balance. It's rhythmic. It's harmonized. Like when you tune the dial on the radio and you can hear like parts of the song, like I'm dating myself, but the old school radios where you can hear all the sound and you can kind of hear your song and you're like, oh, that's my song. And you're trying to find the right, and then you finally nail down the channel and the song starts playing and you're like, oh yeah, that's my jam. And it's perfect and you can hear it without any static. That's coherence. That's coherence. And that is the new self-help, let me tell you. Stepping into a coherent self. It's what's coming. It's what's already here, but we're finally like, oh, we're getting it. Coherence isn't about forcing positivity. It's not like, I can't talk about that. Good vibes only, whatever. Gaslighting yourself. Or just, it's about alignment. It's about our heart and our brain and our body all just, high-fiving each other. It's about it all working together. It's about it all coming together, good, bad, ugly, whatever. When we're coherent, we don't fight darkness. We stabilize. We stabilize the field, our energy field, and then everything reorganizes around that steadiness. I'm excited about it. I'm excited about 2026. I've got big things planned for the podcast. We're going to finish traveling here in Florida and head back to Ohio, and new things are going to happen there. But I just want to pause here. And as you walk into this next phase of your life, your personal journey, do it with confidence, with compassion for yourself, and with excitement, and with, grabbing life by the balls, Now that we're grabbing life by the balls and all that, let's take a deep breath. I want you to just take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. Let that deep breath clear any stuck energies. You didn't come here to defeat the darkness. You came here to balance it. You're not broken. You're integrating. This is Earth School, and we're learning how to be an ascended human in real time. Thank you for being here, for listening, and for doing this work. And if this resonates with you, I'd love for you to follow the show and, share it with somebody that you care about. Or just come back for the next conscious conversation, Until then, this is Earth School Radio. Stay open, stay grounded, and keep your dial tuned to love. Happy New Year! Happy New Year! I'll see you guys at the next one. Love ya.